Jesus had just set his face toward Jerusalem, and the rest of Luke's gospel shows just how clear Jesus is about what will unfold when he gets there. And then, as we have heard today, though, Jesus did something quite interesting. He had set his focus clear ahead, and now he hands off his work to others. Or maybe to put it a bit better, he sent others with his power and authority to do the things that he did. He sent 72 ambassadors, or as some manuscripts have it, 70, to go to the places Jesus would go so that they could do the things that Jesus would do. It's worth lingering this morning with the specific instructions that Jesus offered, and I'm going to use that number 70. Those 70 travelers. First, he didn't send anybody out alone. They went by twos. Whether they were accepted or not, they already had community with them. And that was a good thing, because Jesus let them know that he was sending them out into a world that wasn't always going to be safe for them. They were, as he said, lambs among the wolves. But they had a community no matter where they went. Community, for any of us, is survival and resilience. And that's especially the case for those who would go on Jesus' behalf. But not all places would entail risk. No, these traveling duos were to be supported by the hospitality and the care of the ones who welcomed them. As they traveled, they were sustained by the grace of others. But in truth, doesn't that have its own risk too? How many of us are really comfortable relying on another? Got some self-sufficient folks in the room, don't we? Nonetheless, the 70 were sent in twos to trust in the hospitality of others and the grace of God. To ensure they didn't find comfort elsewhere, they were instructed that they could not pack their carry-on luggage with all the creaturely comforts. In fact, they were told, don't carry anything with you as you go. So traveling lightly, the 70 went forth with a message of peace and a message of power. And they proclaimed good news wherever they went, whether it was received or whether it was not. And if it wasn't received, if they were not welcomed, they simply brushed the dust they kicked up and moved on to the next place. And everywhere they went, the message was the same. God's kingdom, God's kind of community was present when they were there representing the ministry of Jesus. And it was evident not just in their words, but in their actions as well. They did the things Jesus did. People were healed. Others were set free from oppressing forces. They spoke peace into existence, and they proclaimed that God has not abandoned them. And as these pairs did what Jesus had instructed, the kingdom, the community of God was established in new places. This Lenten season, we have been lingering around this point. We've been reminded as we've looked at these gospel lessons that Jesus' ministry in the world is one of creating good community. Language that Jesus showed up proclaiming as God's kingdom, God's reign is near. Today, we find that Jesus organized that community by sending out faithful people into the world who would represent that community. This wasn't the first time that Jesus sent people into the world. Before there were 70, Jesus sent 12 out to do his work. So why is it now that there are 70 who are sent? Why not 50? Why not 117? Scholars suggest that that number 70 is quite significant. Even so, that some of the earlier manuscripts that said 72, they modified to 70 so that we would notice the significance. That number is one that appears much earlier in the Bible, all the way back, the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter 10. In Genesis 10, 70 is the number that represents Noah's descendants. Following that mythic flood story, it was a way of naming all of the people in the world. If we connect the dots, Luke is inviting us to see that Jesus sends messengers not just to a select family, but to people of the whole world. The kind of community Jesus builds is one that is for all people, not just the 12 tribes of Israel. And I would suggest that this is still the work of Jesus now as well. As it was for the 70, we as a congregation are in the midst of preparing for a time that we will be sent as well. And as it was for those 70, it's still about joining Jesus in the work of building a deeper community among us. We're about a month away from sending listeners into our congregation and beyond to build that deeper community, a community of peace and of power. You may have picked up on this over, I don't know if you've been here any length of time, but I'm very serious about the importance of this listening work that we're going to do together. Have I made that point clear? You get it? This method of having one-to-one conversations is a tested way for us to build a deeper community. One that is not just about relationships, but it is about relationships. But it's also about our clarity and calling to be light and goodness in this world. As it was with those 70, we will go forth with little more than a sense of our calling, a listening ear, and open hearts. We will seek to build community with curious and courageous questions. Like the 70, we too will rely on the hospitality of those we visit, trusting that their openness to us will create space for community to flourish. And like the 70, we too will create community one pair at a time. In this case, through a listener and through someone who tells their story. When we honor one another's stories, and as we better understand the hopes and the dreams that abide among us, we too will find new freedom, new power, new senses of community developing among us. And like the 70, I believe in all of that will be very clear that God is present among us. Some will see it, others might not. But in it all, the work of peace and community building will abound in our midst. We had a similar listening campaign in 2022. This is why I'm so serious about this, because I've seen the good work that has come out of listening to you all. We still find guidance from what we heard 3 years ago. We still align our energy and resources around what we heard from you then. But community building is not a one and done kind of task. It's the continual work before us. And now is the time for us to listen again. Last time we had 13 listeners. This time we already have 54 people confirmed for this campaign. And while we did this work on our own as a congregation in 2022, this time we have 15 other faith communities and nonprofits joining us, including the good folks at People's Church. So welcome, Reverend Carr. It's good to have you here today. I believe with all of that we are at a moment, just like those 70 were, where we are being prepared and bestowed on us the authority to join in Jesus' community organizing work. Does anybody believe that? A one, yeah, maybe. I believe it enough for all of us at this point. As I read our gospel lesson this week, I started to wonder, do we need a team of 70? I asked Nancy Anton Jensen, our leadership development coordinator, if she thought we could do it. By the way, she's already done incredible work to build a team of 54 listeners. And much of that happened because she listened and went back to the data that we collected in 2022. To my question about creating a team of 70 listeners among us, she said no. Well, sort of. It was a little nicer than that. While Nancy is away today, will you help me out by proving her wrong? I mean that. Or better yet, can we commit to building upon the incredible work that she's already done so that we can build a team of 70 listeners? Or even better than trying to prove Nancy right or wrong, is this an opportunity for you to respond to a spark in your own heart? I might be wrong, but I've sensed a different, more charged kind of energy among us lately. A few others have noticed it as well and shared their sense of that with me. And I have to wonder, is that energy because we are getting in touch with a longing for the kind of community that Jesus organizes, the kind of community that Jesus offers? Have you heard something new this Lenten season that's drawing and pulling you? On the first Sunday in Lent, did you go with Jesus to the wilderness? And when he resisted the tempter's false paths to power, did you also hear yourself saying, I want to say no to the tempter so that I could say yes to what God is doing in the world? Or were you here the second Sunday in Lent to hear Jesus longing for community as he cried out, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, I would have loved to gather you like the hen gathers her brood, but you wouldn't do it. And did that call forth something in you that was a deeper longing for the kind of beloved community that Jesus seeks? Or did you hear the story the following week of when Elon Musk invited Jesus to dwell at his house? Did I say Zacchaeus? I meant Zacchaeus. And when he was there was a transformation that was not simply good news for one individual, but the whole community was transformed. Did that spark something in you? Did you long to be part of a faith that's serious about changing the world and expands the possibilities of community among us here and now? Or did you hear the beloved story of the prodigal son's return, as Pastor Ryan so nicely shared with us last Sunday? Did it awaken a deep desire in you for redemption, where both younger and older son are found and a new kind of family comes together? Is it possible that you have felt powerless in your life and you want nothing less than to have Jesus stand before you and say, I've given you all the power you need. Go and do what I have sent you to do. If you've felt any of that throughout this season of reflection, this season of Lent, please don't take it lightly. If that is you, I'm going to hang around a little bit after worship today, and I would love to hear from you. As Jesus instructed in our gospel lesson today, I've been praying, God, send laborers from this congregation. Send 16 more laborers from this congregation. For the harvest is ready. I believe with every fiber of my being that the time is now for the community to be organized around the things that Jesus cared about. I'd add a little bit of force to that. Don't miss your place in it. If we read a bit further into Luke chapter 10, we learn that the 70 returned from their ventures, and they were full of energy and excitement. Naturally, they had done some powerful things along the way. I expect nothing less among us and through our cohort of faith communities and nonprofits that are going to listen to lots and lots of people throughout this city. You can't be part of building that kind of community and not find energy from it. But as it was with the 70, it's still true here today. The best news of all, and I'd like to read this little section to you. This is in Luke chapter 10, verse 17 and following. The 72 or 70 returned with joy, saying, Lord, in your name even the demons submit to us. And he said to them, I watched Satan fall from heaven like a flash of lightning. Indeed, I've given you authority to tread on snakes and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing will hurt you. Nevertheless, Jesus continued, do not rejoice at this, that the spirits submit to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. Indeed, rejoice, because as God is building a kingdom of love and belonging in the midst of the world, God saw fit to make a place for you in the midst of that good kingdom. Thanks be to God. Amen.